What's going on, everyone? Vampyr Gaming here, and I am joined today by Angelo, who, if you're unfamiliar, he actually finished last year third place at the European Nationals, and then this year qualified for Worlds, taking second place. An absolute beast at this game. He's joining me today to talk about Rayleigh. He did just release a Rayleigh guide over here on Metafy, and you can go check that out. There is a discount code at the end of the video if you're interested, and I'll put the link in the YouTube video description. But we're going to talk briefly on a lot of things Rayleigh and kind of dive in. Don't want to take away all of his guide for free, but going to get you guys as much information I can to really just showcase the value that's in this guide. But Angelo, thank you so much for joining me today. How are we
Thank you.
feeling?
Hello, everyone. I'm feeling good. I think Rayleigh is one of the most fun decks of the OP-12 meta. I really enjoy it. It's really cool. I really enjoy aggressive decks, and I think Rayleigh is the best at the moment.
It's a very nice
Um,
deck, by all means. And a lot of people know me as a red guy. I've definitely played and had results with other decks, but like everybody just knows me as a red guy, and I very much find like solace in just like all the new cards that it adds, especially like the Luffy. It feels
mhm.
almost like it's kind of like, in a weird way, it's similar to the animal package for me, but I like it a lot more because we have
Yeah,
counter
true.
and they're not rested, but like we get to go wide more so than we would before, and we have a lot of new really cool events.
Yeah, I think it's really consistent. Also, I really like the idea behind the deck. Since you can use the events as an offensive but even defensive tool.
Mm-hmm.
So also think usually people think that aggressive decks are not skilled, but I think really requires a lot of skill.
I
And
agree with that.
also, yeah.
Cool. Well, let's go ahead and jump in here. All right, yeah. And so Rayleigh in OP12 obviously is one of the more exciting decks now that blue purple is kind of out of the picture with the restricted pairs. They no longer have their Lin to heal or their Katakuri. So we'll real quick just kind of take a look. This is Angelo's deck list that he's been playing, and the biggest thing is it feels kind of like the deck has really been solved, but a part of that is just because there isn't as much card choice as any other deck due to the limitations of him only being able to play 4 cost cards or lower, which means we can't play like 8 cost Rayleigh, we can't play 5 cost Rayleigh, which is just hilarious to me. And then we don't get access to a lot of events, even like Honesty Impact and whatnot. But with that in mind, what led you, kind of like just a brief overview, to like this list specifically?
Okay, so when I started building the deck, I was trying to beat negative matchups like Bonney in L and also Kid. So I think 45 cards are fixed. Like you cannot play less than 4 copies of Buggy, Shakuyaku, Nami, Luffy, Sanji. But I think there are like five flexible spots, and I'm including 4 copies of the Chukotsu Sanji. Because some Rayleigh players are running 2 Brooks and 2 Sanjis, but I think Sanji is really good into control decks because like they usually don't want to attack your leader,
Mm.
and they usually try to control the board and starve you. But with Sanji, you can just accomplish 2 of the most important things of this deck. You both take 1 card, so I mean they cannot starve you, and also it's a 7K body. And also usually control decks have to play on curve. So like for example on 6 dons, yellow decks need to play the 6 cost Kuma, so they can just wing for 5K with their leader. So you can just defend Sanji with 2 cards, or even with just 1 card if you have 1 don open with the Supreme King Aki. And then you can just swing again for 7k, and it's too powerful. Then I'm playing 4 rushers, 2 Zoro and 2 Kid and Killer, even though I think Kid and Killer is the best.
Yeah.
But I think 2 Zoros are needed because there are only 17 strat targets for Nami, and you don't want to miss Nami. So I think I have to include 2 Zoros for that reason. Otherwise, I would just play for Kid and Killers because it's too strong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also running, yeah, yeah.
I was gonna say I've seen people just flat out play 4, and I've also seen people go like a 3-1 just because, like, yeah, I mean, in late game, Kid Killer is just the most powerful card in the deck, in my opinion. Right next to like King Kong Gatling, because potentially that extra 4 for 2, also very similar vibes. But yeah, I actually originally played just 4 Zoro just for the sake of consistency when I was like learning the deck, and I didn't hate it. It's just that extra 2k goes so far, especially if you protect the body. There's been games where I play out Kid Killer swing, and then it's like, well, if I keep Kid Killer, I have lethal the next turn, and then I just use everything I have to save him.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But yeah, cool. I did notice, of course, like, also you play the 2 mole pistol. I've seen people go up to 3 just because of the things like, green purple being like the most, it's the best card there. And then, of course, like
Yeah.
Bonney as well. Did you ever consider playing 3, or do you think 2 is still okay? Because we have the Nami search or the Buggy search, and pretty much every other card can find it.
I was testing it at in free copies, but sometimes you cannot use it versus Bonney because usually they have the 2 cost blocker that protects Cavendish or the Tashigi. And also in some matchups you don't really need it. Like in the mirror, I think it's not that good in the mirror. Because if you win the dice, you're already ahead. So you don't usually need to play Mulligan on their Luffy. And also, if you draw more than 1 copy, you are never happy.
Yeah.
So at the moment, I'm keeping it in 2 copies. But if some decks like GP and Bonney become more popular, I think I'm gonna raise it to 3 copies.
Got it. That makes sense. And then last question here, and then we'll move on. But I noticed you played 4 of the Color of Observation. I cut that down to 3 because it doesn't have counter, but I did really like the search. Do you just like, because it can really search anything, and it can also search itself. Do you ever find it like kind of bricky?
I mean, sometimes it is. I was playing it in 3 copies as well, but I think you really need the extra search for some rushers, or even for the Luffy in control matchups, because you need a lot of gas. And the search event looks for 3 costs or higher, so you can find the specific gas card for with that, like Kid Killer Luffy or even Sanji.
Yep.
And also it's like 0 mana, look top 4, so it's like cheating 1 Dawn for free.
Got it. Yeah.
But I mean, there is an argument for playing it only in 3 copies as well.
Okay.
But I'm really liking it in 4 copies at the moment.
I originally played it at 4, but then I was like, I actually, funny enough, I didn't even realize it didn't have counter. Then I was like, oh, I'm gonna make this 3. But I originally played a whole event with it at 4. I was like, this card's great, but then I was like, oh, then I was like about to die, and I was like, okay, but no, cool, awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, let's go ahead and just jump into the matchups. We'll talk briefly here, just overall. These are some we're going to go more in depth. We're going to talk heavily on the mirror, but let's go ahead. So first up, we've got green Zoro. I think obviously the play is to go first, mostly because if we go first, right, we get to play out the Luffy and we get to attach 2 Dons, so when they Tashigi, we can protect it better because he's a 6k, whereas when we do it on 4, they just get the Tashigi and swing at it, and it's a lot harder to
Yeah,
defend.
yeah. Also, they cannot play Miyok on curve. I mean, they can play Miyok on curve, but they cannot defend it because they cannot play like a 5 cost plus a 2k. I mean, the 2 cost that protects the slash. So they can play just Miyok plus the 2 cost, but they cannot play the Miyok plus a 5 cost plus the 2 cost. So in that way, they can only develop 2 bodies instead of 3. So, I mean, they can play it on curve, but they cannot protect it, or if they do, they cannot play Tashigi with it. So they have to choose between the two.
If
So that's no reason to go first.
Yeah, if they play out a body and you have mole pistol, are you gonna mole pistol their body, or are you only gonna mole pistol if it's like Cavendish?
I think I'm gonna use it only on Cavendish.
Okay, that makes sense.
But usually I try to keep 4 dons open. So I just swing like for 5k, and then if they block with Miyok, I can just use small gun on it and then swing over it. But if they don't rest it, I'm gonna swing for 10k as my last swing. So they still have to give me 2 cards if they wanna block with Miyok.
I see. That makes sense. Cool.
I think that's the best approach to play around it.
I agree. And then, so when it comes to this matchup as well, I think it's favored overall. And I think a part of that is, of course, like 1 cost Buggy. I absolutely love Buggy. I've seen like 4 in a row and just played them all, and you literally can't do anything about it. Like, they have to play out Tashigi and just so many unoptimal plays to hopefully remove it.
Yeah, they only have the free cost 2k counter,
2K,
but they
yep.
still do nothing in that turn because it's a 2k body. So
Exactly.
So yeah, Buggy is the MVP of the matchup.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also I think the matchup is favored because their leader is like a vanilla for me versus Rayleigh.
Yeah.
Because you want to take life cards, but their leader is aggressive because they rest and swing the body and then swing face. But you want to take life cards, so they are doing what you want to do. So I think that's why it's so easy. I think it's like 70% for Rayleigh.
Yeah, it used to be, actually, funny enough, I think it was worse when like Blue Purple was around, but now that like Blue Purple's gone, I think we just are like way better into Zoro overall. When oh, sorry.
No, I'm a fan.
Okay. When are you saving bodies against Zoro? Like, I feel like for me, end game, like Kid Killer, potentially, like if I know I just have lethal, I just protect my board. But outside of that, are you like when they Tashigi, are you absolutely protecting like your 6,000 power Luffy?
Usually, I let Luffy go if it's on curve. If they play Tashigi on curve. Sometimes I guard it only if I have like 4 events in hand. Okay. If I have 4 counter events in hand. But I think that's the only spot where I usually defend it. But otherwise, I just let it go.
Got it. And then
I think the matchup is not that. I mean, you should not play the matchup that aggressive. But you wanna play like for the board, even sometimes. You can take your time because even if they put you at one life, you still have the Supreme King Aki. So even if they play the free cost event that makes Zoro active, I mean they really still have 4k for that turn if you use the Supreme Aki. And also, if you have 2 copies of it, they cannot just win because there really is gonna be a free K. They can assign like 7 dons, and it's just a 10k 10k, but you can easily guard that. So I think you can take your time, really. You don't need to be that aggressive. Also, because Zoro doesn't run high cost characters or like cards that speed up the game, like 9 cost Zoro.
Zoro. Yep.
So you can take your time, yeah.
Got it. Okay, cool.
Just let your people go, your character go.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, so again, just to reiterate, go first. It's pretty favored. You can take the game pretty slow. Usually let the bodies go. And that's pretty much the strat against, like, anybody, right? Like, we just turn our bodies sideways, and then they're free blockers. Against Zoro, we kind of don't get that because he gets to attack twice. But same game plan, just we do what we do. Rayleigh, we're going to talk briefly because we have a whole section here that we're going to talk about the mirror, but essentially go second. I feel like that's just to be able to play our Luffy first and go wide. Then we get to be the one like on the offense there.
I think there is an argument also for going first because you are more aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
But still, I slightly prefer to go second. But it's kind of even. I mean, it doesn't matter that much.
I agree. I agree because again we're an aggro deck, so like we can be aggro on whatever we do, and that's just what we want to do, and we want to be thoughtful in how we clean up like their board. Like we don't want to go after anything big. Like Mole Pistol matters. Like Mole Pistol, their Luffy can take away a lot of value. But again, we'll talk about this a little bit more in depth. Let's go ahead and jump over to Blue Purple Luffy. So before we always wanted to like take Blue Purple Luffy's curve away. This time you're saying go second. Interested to hear your thoughts there.
Yeah, I think when Blue Purple was at full power, the matchup was kind of hard for Rayleigh. Since they can just heal up with Lilin.
Yeah.
And you cannot go for the 15k swing. But now they don't have Lilin anymore, so you can just go all in and rush them down. So I think it's really easy now, and you want to go second, so you can just put the pressure with the Luffy. And you don't care that much about what they do, because you can just swing and then they will eventually lose. I mean, Lilin really was making the difference, and also Katakuri was really strong. But now I think it's really easy. So you want to be more aggressive than before. And you want to play less for the board, because before the ban list, you needed to put some bodies every turn on board, because if they play Lilin and just trade your board and take control of the board, you cannot win anymore. But now, even if you lose the board, you can just go 15k face for 2 turns in a row, and you just win. So that's why I'm playing it like that.
Got it. That makes sense. And that's a huge play against any deck these days. Because we do play... I play 3. I was playing 4 because I just absolutely love it. But yeah, I mean, double it. Like, if you just make sure you can't lose, you can just go 15-15. Potentially even more with some of the other events. Go even higher than 15 on the final lethal swing. But
yeah, exactly.
Hugely underrated. So would you say now that Blue Purple is favored for Rayleigh?
Yeah, now it's definitely favored for Rayleigh. I think like 65-35.
Okay.
Something like that. Yeah, even if you don't play tech cards for the matchup specifically, I think it's still really favored for Rayleigh.
That makes sense. Cool. And then let's just jump into these other ones here. So again, just kind of not covering all of them. I know you cover a little bit more and go more in depth in your guide, but so first up we have Kuzan. Kuzan, of course, we want to go second. That's mostly because of the 6 cost Kuzan and just them wanting to play on their curve. When we kind of take that away, they have to choose between Kuzan or Sakazuki. We also delay the Garp for a turn, which it just buys us a lot of time overall. The big...
And also, play Luffy. You can just play Luffy and curve, and it's obviously the best play of the deck.
Yeah.
So you both achieve your... I mean, you take your favorite curve, and also you deny their going second curve that it is that strong.
Yeah, absolutely. And the big thing here is just like swinging fives. Like you don't want to poke six, you want to poke five because Kuzan plays a lot of bricks, which is incredibly important to like know. But they play a lot of bricks. They do have built-in filter just because of the leader's ability, but they still can draw bricks. I was playing a game and I was like, you can save your rushers, but like you want to do the smaller numbers just because like at some point you're going to get the event for a 5K. And then when you go for like lethal, they have so much less because their event is like Gum Gum Giant at home. And so they have a lot of ways to, again, like filter cards, find that counter. But once they're out of that counter, you get a 2K for a 5 swing. It really adds up. And like that's how you're going to snowball this game. I think personally, so like we kind of talked about it and we can talk about it a little bit more here. You believe it's favored. I think it almost is like dice roll dependent, but it's also like
yeah, I think it's dice dependent, yeah, for sure. I think it's slightly favored for Rayleigh, but I'm not that sure. I not played that matchup that much, but I still think really I think it's like 55-45.
I could agree with
but
that.
Pretty close.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, pretty close.
And again, biggest thing is like once you get that counter, like and the rushers in late games, like you're doing a bunch of fives. If you have 5 bodies on board, like and they have to give you 5 cards, you're gonna get the events. They're going to possibly lose. Like they're gonna potentially, same thing. If they block with Aramaki, you can potentially Red Hawk it and then swing into it and like turn your 3s into it.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to approach the matchup. You can just win for multiple 5K swings.
Yeah.
And then you just deplete their resources.
Exactly. Yeah, because they only have so much. They only have so much. Like, again, a lot of bricks. But let's go ahead, move on to Bonney. So, Bonney, we kind of talked about, I thought you should go first. Is going second only because you want to play out the Luffy and go wider, and then you get to go like 2, 4, and have 3 bodies so you can get in as many attacks as possible? Or what's the thought behind going second?
I think also because you want to deny their additional draw. Because Bonney just plays the 1-cost Bonney Searcher, so they cannot search for them, except for the 1-cost Bonney that can search only supernovas. So you wanna go second to deny their draw, and also because you wanna establish 2 bodies on 4 dons. And also if they miss the 2-cost blocker, which protects Cavendish, you can just mulligan the Cavendish or even the Carrot, and I think the game is really. And if they miss the 2-cost blocker, so that's why I really like to go second. I also think these 3 decks, Kuzan, Bonney, and Shanks, are almost the same deck in a certain way. They are like a mid-range control-ish deck, but they all play a lot of bricks. So if you go wide, then you just spam 5K swings or 6K versus Shanks. You can just completely destroy their resources, and also Shanks, like Bonney, doesn't play searchers. They only play Utah usually. So they need to see the card. They need to draw the cards that they need from top deck. They cannot dig for them. So if you start go wide and swing for 5 or 6, they need to give you sometimes cards that they want to play on curve, like Ben Beckman. They need to discard Ben Beckman, or Bonney needs to discard the Carrot or Cavendish if they don't have other counters. So that's why you wanna go wide and swing for 5. Yeah, I think these are almost the same deck, but there are different lines, obviously.
We call
for everyone.
we used to call Bonney the green Shanks, right? No, people called
Yeah, exactly.
Shanks
Yeah.
the red body. But yeah, so that makes absolute sense. So one thing though is, of course, right, we have Shanks listed as favored. We have Bonney listed as unfavored. I thought Bonney was pretty favored just because we get to go incredibly wide, which tends to be Bonney's downfall. Would love to know, like, why do you think Bonney is unfavored?
I think it's unfair if they play it and cost Duffy.
Yeah, yeah, that'll do
Because
it.
usually the win condition versus Bonney is to go for a 15k unblockable swing for 2 turns in a row.
Mm.
But if they play it and cost Duffy, they can just deny that,
Yeah.
and you cannot afford to go 15k for a turn and just pass, and then on the following turn your leader is freezed, so you cannot swing with it. And you also need to survive for that turn and for the following turn if you want to go for another 15k swings. So you need to survive for 3 turns before doing that. So it's pretty hard for that specific reason. But if they don't play the 10 cost off, I think it's slightly favored for Rayleigh. But at the moment, every Bonney is running 2 or 3 Doffies. So I think it's unfavored at the moment.
Got it. That makes sense. Awesome. And then so Shanks, obviously, right? Shanks is like, the fake red deck. He's more like
Yeah.
Bonney. So true aggro has always been his downfall. Like, I lose to like a real red deck. And is that just, you think that's just the same thing here?
Yeah. I think they only have one good tool now to win the Rayleigh matchup, which is the 4 cost Shanks.
Mm.
That card is a nightmare since it allows them to reach the end game with a lot of cards in hand, because it's a 6k blocker and it turns a non-counter into a 2k counter.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only scary card of the matchup. But besides that, I think the matchup is really good. Also, you can just play Mulligan on it,
Mm.
and they have nothing else to play. I mean, they have Lucky Roo, but you
Yep.
can just go wide, so they have to give you the blocker. So they just lose a turn to maybe KO
One
free
body.
cost.
Yeah.
Yeah, or just one body, but you have like 3 or 4 bodies, so it doesn't matter that much.
Do you worry about the 10 drop? Like the 10 drop minus 1,000? I feel like once that happens, it might just snowball in their favor.
Yeah, if they play it, if they can afford to play it, it's really hard. But usually, the turn before their 10 on turn, I usually go like I assign every dawn and I just win face.
Mm-hmm.
So on the following turn, I can just go for 15k swing if they have some blockers. So I can put them to 0. And then even if they have the 10 cost Shanks, you can just win on the following turn with the 0 cost unblockable event. So like you put a clock on them, a 2 turn clock, so they have to win the game in 2 turns. Otherwise, it's over for them. But also for you, because if they play the 10 cost Shanks, you have only 2 turns.
Yep.
But usually you are still at 3 life cards or 2 life cards. And if you have 2 copies of Supreme King Aki, you can just guard everything. And that's also the reason why I'm running 4 of the Supreme King Aki and 4 of the unblockable event, because I'm playing almost every matchup in that way. So I just put them to 0. They are forced to kill you, but you have 4 Supreme King Aki in your deck, so you can just guard their little attempt, and then you play the 0 cost event, unblockable event if they have some blockers, and you can just win. You go like 17k or even 18k, and you can just win on the spot. So that's why.
Got it. Awesome. Well, let's go ahead. So a big thing is there's not a lot of options, right? We talked about this in the beginning. There's not a lot of options for the deck, but there are a couple of choices. So did just want to cover a couple of these tech choices and get your thoughts on them.
Mm-hmm.
So first up, we have Brook, which, of course, we talked Zoro. Before, this was like a tech card for Zoro. You get to play it off of your Luffy on 4, and then you can attach 2 Dawn to your leaders, so that way the Luffy will be a 6k when they Tashigi, and you can counter out of it for 2 cards. And I know that you're playing 4 of the Sanji. What are your thoughts on the Brook?
I think Brook is just a weaker Sanji. Because Sanji really helps you a lot in control matchups, which are also the negative ones. So, I mean, the Brook is really aggressive because you can just swing for another 5 on curve. But I think Sanji comes up in more situations. So that's why I'm running for Sanji. Also in the late game, if you have just few dons left, you can just play Sanji and it will be a 7k for the last turn. So I really prefer to play for Sanjis. But Brook is also really good.
Got it. And then we see a one of in a couple of lists at this point, which is just in 2 years at the Sabaody Archipelago, which is, of course, just a Straw Hat Searcher, but it does have Trigger. But again, I've never seen this at more than a one of. And of course, the Rayleigh Searcher event only finds 3 costs or higher. It doesn't find you your Nami Searchers or anything like that. What are your thoughts on this event?
So on paper, this card is good. But you don't have that many strat in your deck. Also, you are forced to play some weaker cards that you usually don't want to play. Like more copies of Rush Zoro. But I just prefer to have like Hidden Killer. Add more copies of the Mole Pistol. But this card can search only for characters. You cannot search for the events. Also, Nami whiffs a lot. But this one whiffs even more because it can search for Nami, but you don't want to use a searcher to find another searcher. You just lose the dons in that way. So, I mean, it's a good card, but in the current list, I cannot find space for it, and also I don't want to put more strat characters in the deck.
Got it.
But I think on paper it's a good card.
Makes sense. Now, let's talk about... So this is a card that I'm incredibly passionate about. I've loved this character in a number of formats, and it feels like this is really like the best place for him at this point. And it's kind of okay because your leaders also strike. It's unfortunate that Sanji isn't, but we've got Dawn X2, right, this Luffy, and then so he can't be KO'd by strike characters, but at the same time, again, a card you can play off of Luffy on 4, and then give 2 of your rested Dawn to him. So that way you can become a 6k Luffy as well. But he also gets to, you can play in curve, and he just gets to swing 5 for free as well. Have you considered the Monkey D. Luffy, and what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I was playing 2 copies of Luffy in my previous list when UP was still at full power. I really like this card because it's a 2 mana 5k, and it's just too strong. But in the current meta, I don't think you want to be that aggressive. You usually want to play for the value. You want to play a lot of searchers which replace themselves, like for Nami, for Shakuyaku, for Boa. So I think this card is good, but I think the meta is really slow, and this card is too aggressive, and it has no value. I mean, it's a 5k, but it will die on the following turn. So I prefer to have cards that are stronger in the long run. But this card is really good. I really like it. Maybe if if the meta becomes more aggressive, I'm gonna include 2 copies of these. I put them back in the deck, but at the moment I think there are better options than this one.
Got it.
But I really like it.
Now, lastly, and I wasn't actually going to put this one in, but this is similar to like a Sanji, and I felt like people were just going to ask about it because this is another card that kind of shows up, and I guess feels like more like, again, like kind of like a Brook spot because it's the same thing like you said as Sanji. It's just a 2K, but this one costs 3 instead of 2 for it to swing 7. But what are your thoughts on just like this, Luffy? Did you consider it?
Yeah, I was considering to play it and not the other one, the 2K, the 2 cost one. But I feel like you still have a lot of 2K counters. You don't usually need more than what you have.
Yeah.
So I think the other Luffy is slightly better than this one.
Yeah. I mean, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I just feel like somebody's gonna ask about it, so I just wanted to include it. It was the last.
Yeah,
one,
but it's a good card still. Yeah.
yeah, it's not bad, right? Like, but
Not
it's
bad, yeah.
they're better cards for sure. Cool. Well, let's go ahead. So this is where I want to like just kind of really dive in is the mirrors, right? You said go second, but you know it could go either way, truthfully, because like in both instances you just have to know like your place in the game. Like, am I being aggressive? Do I need to like control the board a little bit? Because you can do both of those. What do you think is like the biggest thing? How do we win mirrors?
I think the best tip I can give you, I mean I can give to everyone, is like play for the value.
Yep.
Every 1 cost searcher matters because you can use them to trade theirs, and also if you assign 1 Don to a 2K, you can just wing over the 3 cost Sanji, so you don't lose a 5K swing to KO at 3K body. I think the mirror is like everything about board control. You don't want to be aggressive. You just want to play for the board. Since the mirror really takes a lot of turns, it's really grindy. You don't want to be aggressive, but just play for the board. You want to extract as many cards from the round as possible. Because if you go aggressive, if you go all in, they can just defend with the Supreme King Haki, and they get a lot of value with it if you are being too much aggressive. Yeah. And also you wanna start swinging for 5 or even 6 if you wanna play around it, because if you start for 7, they can just use it and they can guard a 7K with it easily. But if you have like 3 or 4 bodies and you start with a 5, they either give you a 2K counter, which is a 3K counter because they give you -1K to everything, or they just have to guard the 5K with a 1K. And they still have to use the Supreme King Haki, so you can just keep swinging for 5K. So you deny their value, the value of the Supreme King Haki. So that's also a great tip to play the mirror and to play around the Haki. So yeah, I really like to play in that way.
Okay, so what I've kind of been doing and would love like your thoughts on this. So the biggest thing to know is like, right, we don't play blockers. So one, the unblockable event has no real value, whereas it does in like every other matchup because we don't play blockers. So once you're at 0, like we can go all in. The biggest thing for me is I feel like my strategy has been hitting their face a lot, right? We want to, I prioritize doing 5K swings because we know we play a lot of 2Ks, so the 5Ks takes away 2K counters, which is incredibly taxing. Yeah. But then also, I like in terms of like the body, if I have a mole pistol, I'll use it to remove like a Luffy. That makes sense. But I usually only like try to trade searchers and then like mole pistol Luffy. Outside of that, like I'm never really swinging at board. I'm usually just going the 5 face pokes.
I think if you need to trade, you can trade like the Sanji or the Boa, but Luffy, I don't think Luffy should be. You should trade the Luffy because it's a 6K and their
What?
leader is a 5K, so you are just losing 1K power by swinging into Luffy. But at the same time, I don't think you want to play Mulligan on Luffy if it's not on curve. So like if you go second, you can play the Mulligan on 6 on their Luffy. But I think if it's like the 7 Dawn's turn or the 8 Dawn's turn, you just leave it there. You don't want to kill it with Mulligan or swing at it. I think you can invest the 4 Dawns in a better way. Usually, also if they have the Luffy on board, they still usually don't use their leader on it because you can just take the 8K. It's too much.
Yeah.
It's too high. So they usually swing with it for like 6K or 7K, but we are fine. I mean, it's fine if they have just one body to swing with. So
Yeah.
I usually don't attack it.
Got it. So you usually don't mole pistol in like the late game. So like if I'm going first, you wouldn't like. So I get to establish my Luffy on 5. Then they go 6. They've already established their Luffy on 7. I don't want to remove the Luffy. He's just there for the long haul. And then again, like you can trade searchers, but we don't want to swing into Luffy, right?
Yeah, I think you only mulligan it maybe on 7 dons. If you can also play Freako Sanji,
Would
so
you?
you just feed the curve with the mulligan plus Sanji. But I think if you have a rusher like Hidden Killer, usually it's better to play the rusher even if they are not at 2 life.
Would you
But it depends.
consider? Oh, sorry. Would you consider mole pistoling the Luffy, then KOing a 2K searcher that they just played, then doing like a 3K poke at the Luffy?
If they have only one searcher, yes.
Okay.
Or also if you have the Freako Sanji rested, you can do it. So they cannot use the 2K attacker to swing over Sanji. But only if they have just one 2K on board.
Got it. And then outside of that, so like a big thing that I was battling with too is so like obviously when we go second, best play is to play 2 searchers. If we only have Boa and we play Boa on 2, and then we play like the Luffy on 4, are we turning? But do we turn Boa sideways and just give up that free Dawn that you're going to get, or do we wait a turn before turning that? Do we turn Boa sideways on 4 in the mirror?
Usually I prefer to wait.
Okay.
So you can poke for 5K more often in the late game or I mean in the mid game. So yeah, I think usually I keep it active. I don't swing with it
Got it. And
because you
then
get more value later on.
got it. And then what are you looking for in the mirror? Like when you start your opening hand, what are we mulliganing for? Are we just prioritizing Luffy? Are we like looking for like Luffy and events? How greedy are we? Are we like looking for like buggy so we can go like if we're going first so we can go 5/5 and hit them really hard? What's your ideal hand in the mirror going both first and second?
I think Bug is the best card by far. And also cards that replace themselves, like every 1 cost 2K searcher, or even the Boa is really good. And also the Freako Sanji, because it can just swing for 6K without any Dawn assignment. And also you can just draw 1 when it gets KO'd. So I think every card that makes a +1, it's like really worthy to play. Also because you can use your leader on every of these characters. So when I go second, I usually mulligan for two one-cost searchers, especially if they are Nami and Shakuyaku. Because if you don't have Luffy, maybe you do wanna keep an hand with Buggy if you have only Buggy as a searcher. Because if you whiff Luffy, if you don't, I mean, if you whiff Buggy, if you don't
Yeah.
see Luffy, it's really hard to win. So yeah, I think usually I keep two one-cost searchers, especially if it's Nami or Shakuyaku. Yeah.
Got it. And then last question, I think, and then we'll move on. I know I've taken up a lot of your time, so we'll go through the rest of this really quickly. But I think the biggest thing that a lot of people seem to miss is, 95% of all games are winnable. A lot of people think they do, like, the biggest thing is you just got to know, like, because you might not win, but you have to put yourself in a position to win. Let's say in the mirror specifically, we're in a suboptimal position, right? Like, we don't have Luffy, they have Luffy, but like we have like rushers, or like we saw like a bunch of searchers. How, like, I think the biggest way to win is, because of course, again, we don't play any blockers, is to go super aggressive. But like when you're effectively, like, in a way playing behind, how would you go about, what do you think is the best way to find a way to win in this matchup?
I think you need to play some rushers
Mm-hmm.
and try to win the game in 2 turns. Because if you lose the board, you are gonna lose the game in like three turns
Mm-hmm.
or even less. So the best option is to go for two swings. Like you play a Rusher and then you go like 9-9 or 8-8, something like that. So you put them at 0, and then you just wanna go for a big swing on the last turn.
Mm-hmm.
But also you wanna keep some dons open for the Supreme King Gaki.
Yep.
Because sometimes people underestimate I mean, Rayleigh is really tanky, I think. So people sometimes go all in and try to like close the game. And sometimes in the mirror they don't leave dons open for the Supreme King Gaki. So you can just bait them, force them to go for lethal because they think they have lethal. But sometimes you have just too many counters and they have 0 dons open, so you can just win in the following turn with like a rusher. So I think that's the best way to approach the situations where you are behind.
Got it. Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. And then, like, there's also, of course, you can kind of like bait your opponent too. If you know you have enough counter, like, you can just not leave up any dons, so that way they go for it, and then so then they don't leave any don up, and then you get out of their last swing, and then you just, finish them off that turn.
Yeah, it happens really a lot of times because you can guard even 20k swing. So yeah, it happened to me a lot of times.
Yeah, and the biggest thing too is in end game. Last thing, in end game, it's either I'm winning this turn or you're winning next turn is where you'll find yourself a lot, because it's like, okay, like I have to, because again, we don't play blockers unless you have like Supreme King, which is like the hockey event, which is incredibly powerful because it's like minus 3k minimum and then an extra 1k for everybody. So it's potentially the maximum value can have is 8k worth of counter in one card if they have full board.
Yeah, that's really strong. I mean, it's one of the best counters of the game at the moment.
Yep.
Even better than Giant sometimes.
Yeah, no, I mean it's very, again, if your opponent goes wide, it has so much more value. But let's go ahead,
Yeah.
wrap things up. So one thing I kind of wanted to do here is, of course, like mulligans, but I literally went on to Eggman's site, picked a bunch of random mulligans, and just to kind of like get your thoughts if we're gonna keep these, and then we'll round it out. So first off, right, this was a hand I thought it was interesting because it has like all the pieces you want, but it doesn't have any events because it's got Luffy, it's got Searchers, it's got a Rusher, which is this is like dream hand without events. Is this a kind of hand you would keep, or would you mulligan this on the hope of the on the demand of events?
I think if I go first, I definitely keep it. But if I go second, I'm not sure. It depends on the list. If I play, if it is in this list, there are
Three
two
straw
Mulligans.
events? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If there are strat events, I'm gonna keep it even if I go second. Yeah, because you see one card on two dons because you draw one card, then you draw on four dons, and also you can just take the first life
Yeah.
when they swing on three dons. You see three cards, and then you see two additional cards with the searchers, and you have a higher chance of finding an event because you don't have any in hand. So yeah, I think I want to keep this hand.
Got it. And that's going both first and second, right?
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, sometimes, the biggest thing is, too, sometimes hands are just too good. Like, right? Like, even if you don't have all of your pieces, it's, like, good enough, which is, like, the biggest challenge for mulliganing. Like, yeah, you can be greedy, but we have the core. Now we just got to find the rest. We have, like, everything.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just sometimes you just have to take that risk. And then here's another one, kind of similar. Again, we have like a Luffy, a target for Luffy, a Rusher. We've got a Searcher, and then we've got one event. So we don't have all the pieces of the puzzle, but it's still like close enough because, right, like the big things we want to see are Luffy. Big things we want to see are like Buggy, depending on the matchup. Is this something like, let's say, is there any matchup you wouldn't keep this? And like, what's your thoughts first versus second? Are is this a keep?
I think if you go second and you're against control deck, you definitely want to keep it because you have the Sanji on two dons, so you can just take your life cards. And usually I use the effect right away on two dons versus control decks. And also you have the Rusher, which is pretty good versus controls. And also you have Buggy, which is a 3K searcher. So I think I want to keep this hand if I go second versus control decks. And if I go first, I'm not sure. I think it depends on the matchup. Versus Zoro, maybe this hand is okay-ish because you have the Buggy.
Buggy's pretty big.
But the Arm Saki is really bad at the beginning. Also, the Freckles Zoro is not that good in the early game. So it depends. But I mean, it's like a mid hand. You go first. And if you go second and you're not versus a control, I think you wanna mulligan it, but it depends because you need to see a body to play out with Luffy because like in the mirror you don't want to play the Tuko Sanji with Luffy because it's just too weak. And also you need to see another event, maybe a useful event because the Armsaki, as I said before, is really bad at the start. So yeah.
Got it. Awesome. Yeah, and again, kind of on the same page, right? Because it's like, it's almost there, but it's again like if you don't play anything off of Luffy, it feels incredibly bad. Like, but you have like a searcher, but sometimes it's just not enough. And then the final hand. So this one is obviously like it's a bit different than the other ones. Again, all these were random. We of course don't have the Luffy. We do have like Supreme King, Kid Killer, and the Zoro. So I feel like there's the argument like some of these matchups, maybe Kuzan, I might consider keeping this. Maybe like there is an argument I think too for like in the mirror and just go like heavy aggressive in that late game. But obviously we want to prioritize that Luffy. But it isn't like the worst hand. But interested in your thoughts here, like because some matchups we want to be super aggressive. Is there any time you would keep this hand? What are your thoughts on like the mulligan?
I think if you go first, you don't want to keep this hand. And if you go second, it depends. But Even if you find Luffy with Boa,
Oh, yep.
you don't have. I mean, you can play Brook with it, but it's weak. So I think not. I think you don't wanna keep this hand, even if you have two rushers.
Okay, now
Uh,
let's say if this hand, let's say Kid Killer is Luffy, would you keep this hand? Like if just
yeah,
one card here was Luffy.
yeah. I think maybe I wanna do it, but it depends on the matchup. But if you have Boa plus Luffy, it's already pretty good. So maybe yes,
Okay.
but it depends. Maybe in a matchup where you want to be aggressive and you need the rusher. So you have Boa plus Luffy plus the Zoro. Maybe in that specific matchup you want to keep it, but I
Got
think
it.
it's below average.
Got it. Awesome. Well, let's go ahead. So, for everyone out there, again, this is just like a taste of the knowledge that Angelo has to offer. He has a Metafy guide with a ton of matchups. He's got video content as well to go along with a readable guide, which I think is the most optimal way to make guides. I read his Green Purple Luffy one. It was phenomenal. I didn't want to read his Rayleigh one just yet, just so I didn't like try to purposefully extrapolate information from the guide from him here. But you can save 10% with Vampyr 10 over on Metafy, but I'll give you just a moment here to kind of plug that, tell people what they can look forward to there.
In my Rayleigh guide, I'm talking about the matchups versus the most represented decks of the meta, like Bonney, Zoro, GP, Kid, and also some tier 2 decks like Sakazuki. Also, I'm including some gameplay footage with my commentary. And also, I'm planning to play Rayleigh in Bologna Regional, which is at the end of August. So you should take a look at it because I'm playing Rayleigh a lot, and I think this deck is really cool. It's an aggressive deck, but it's also really skilled, and so I think you are gonna have fun with it.
Got it. And then after Bologna, are you going to be updating it kind of too as you go along?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna update the Rayleigh guide for sure with some additional matchups. And also the GP guide, which I wrote some months ago. So yeah, I'm gonna include some additional matchups and also some other replays. Yeah, so go check it out.
Absolutely. Yeah, go check it out. I'll have the link right here in the YouTube video description. It'll be the first one. I'll also put it here in the comments. Again, you can save 10% as well with Vampyr 10 over there. Super appreciate it. Just to kind of bring things home. Final thoughts. We'll keep this super quick. The biggest thing is, poking fives, even like sometimes you have to poke six, but poking fives, just taxing your opponent's hands overall, what you want to do. Biggest thing, right? We want to look for those pieces. We want to go wide. We want to go aggressive, but don't be afraid to play it slow. Our end game is, we have a strong end game because the hockey event, again, it can be up to an 8K counter depending. And then just we have tankiness, we have aggression, overall super well-rounded deck, very versatile. Any closing thoughts, anything to just end it out here is super quick.
I think I want to give a tip to everyone, like a general tip. Like if you're versus a control deck, you usually want to play for searchers because you need a lot of value. So you want to play a lot of searchers and poke for 5 because usually control decks run a lot of non-counter cards. But if that control deck plays a Carter like 9 cost Zoro, you cannot be you cannot play it that slow, but you need to be more aggressive. Since if it comes out, you you have a clock. You have to close out the game in 2 turns. So in general, yeah, you wanna play for the value, but you need to be more aggressive if they run cards like that, or even versus black decks that run 10 cost Kuzan. You usually wanna play for the value, but you also wanna be more aggressive than intended.
Got it. Awesome. Well, thank you. And thank you so much for your time here today. I really appreciate it. I know we kind of went over, but I super
Thank you for the
appreciate you.
opportunity. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, go check him out. It's Angelo T _ OP on Metafy. Links in the description, links in the comments. Vampyr 10, save 10%. But absolutely go check him out on Twitter as well. I'll put it right here on the screen. Absolutely amazing guy. Thank you so much, Angelo.
Thank you. Thank you so much.